Stephen Moore is one of Donald Trump's picks for an open seat on the Federal Reserve. And just like Herman Cain, who was being considered, once his candidacy was announced, he was widely panned because he not only knows next to nothing on monetary policy, but also has some very disturbing views, which does not shock me at all. So I'm going to go through some of that. And look, we know this by him proudly sharing those views in numerous columns for conservative publications. Now, I want to give you that and then give you his response to being called out, which is fun. First, let's talk about his views on feminism. Oh, these are great. Quote, "There is a new oppressed minority on college campuses these days, and it is not women, blacks, Latinos, or gays. In fact, in this era of ultra-political correctness at universities, these other groups enjoy such an exalted status of privilege that even the most unintended slur can leave a student to instant expulsion. Now, the group that has fallen into great disfavor is the white male. You see, your son is an oppressor and is being forced to pay for the sins of his fathers and grandfathers. It is a well-established fact that radical feminism has taken over the culture, especially at the elite East Coast universities." Oh, he's got everything in there. Again, elitism, feminism, horrible. Males are being so oppressed, and yet they were considered the oppressor. Okay, for one, no one but the most radical, and there are radical feminists. Let's just point that out. These are the people that are way, way off the spectrum in like Tumblr, right? There's like 3 people there, right, that think this way. Most people do not consider men to be oppressors, right? Especially in college. Now, here's the thing, right? People like Stephen Moore, they say that because they can no longer enjoy doing the things that they did before, right? Catcalling and getting all handsy and things like that. Well, they can't do that anymore, right? Can't get away with that anymore. And when you take away their privilege to objectify women, they say, "I'm being so oppressed by these militant women." Terrible. Terrible. Look, there's been a big pushback of rape culture, and I think that's a great thing. That's a fantastic thing. Now, it is true that in this, and we saw that story in Rolling Stone, which was a little bit of a, disaster. They had to, especially for the man that was accused, things like that are actually very rare, right? And while horrible, it can destroy a man's reputation for the rest of his life. That said, it doesn't happen as much or very often at all. And so rape claims make the news, false rape claims make the news a lot because of how rare they actually are. And so, and let's hope it stays that way and stays incredibly rare, and I think it will. There's more. Here's Stephen Moore on why women should never out-earn their husbands. Quote, "What are the implications of a society in which women earn more than men? We don't really know, but it could be disruptive to family stability." Well, now wait a minute. You just said we don't know. We don't know, but it could be disruptive. I mean, we have no facts, etc. Okay, well, all right. But then he says, quote, "If men aren't the breadwinners, will women regard them as economically expendable?" Now, that's a fascinating question because what kind of relationship are you in where you consider if you're not making a lot of money, then you are expendable? They think women are just going to up and leave every guy because, oh, man, sorry, man, you don't have a job. You're economically expendable now. You must have been in some really crappy relationships. No, a good relationship is where you support each other through the hard times and the good. He's never been in a healthy relationship. I guess this guy believes that women are only there for my money. So if you're not making money, then you're useless as a man. Well, that's horrible. That's a horrible thing. It's a horrible view, right? Now, he continues by making a terrible comparison here. Quote, "We saw what happened to the family structure in low-income and black households when a welfare check took the place of a father's paycheck. Divorce rates go up when men lose their jobs." This was him writing in the National Review back in 2014. I mean, okay. So, you know what's funny here? So, actually, when women are empowered through well, either through, getting help from the state or getting their own careers and making a decent amount of money, they can leave abusive relationships. This guy looks at that and says, bad thing. Terrible thing. We don't want women to be financially independent. We don't want them to actually be able to get welfare checks if they need it. And again, it goes back to a lot of the racism as well. Look, there's nothing wrong with women being breadwinners and men staying home with the kids or doing housework. There's nothing wrong with that. And look, the casual racism here, hilarious, right? Quote, not quote, sorry. We don't want to be like the blacks. Look what happened to them. That's basically what he said, right? Look at what happened, quote, to family structure in low-income black households. Wait. So, the biggest problem in the black community is actually generational poverty and lack of opportunity due to hundreds of years of racist policy. Policy that favored white people and disfavored black people. Yeah, okay, that's part of the problem there, right? But there's more. He basically makes the argument now that women are too pervasive, and they keep getting into his man stuff. Quote, here's a rule change I propose. No more women refs, no more women announcers, no women beer vendors, no women anything. There is, of course, an exception to this rule. Oh, well, how magnanimous of him. Women are permitted to participate if and only if they look like Bonnie Bernstein. The fact that Bonnie knows nothing about basketball is entirely irrelevant. This is back in 2002, writing for the National Review. How dare these women enjoy sports or get involved in sports at all? I want to be surrounded by men and men only. I want a real sausage party in here. Unless you're hot and I can objectify you. Well, that's basically what you're asking for. Why can't you just let me enjoy my sports by myself? So you're saying that even if a woman loves sports and is into it and maybe knows more than you, because there's women out there who love sports, and look, let me tell you what. I know shit about sports. I know nothing. Right? Nothing. So there are women out there that know way more about sports, know way more about cars than I do. Am I upset about this? Am I saying, oh my God, my manhood, my testicles have shrunken up and crawled inside my body? No, not at all. And I don't understand why people freak out about this. I don't get it. Look, it's insanity. But again, it's this whole old school mindset, right? There's more. One more here. And that's the dreaded gender-inclusive bathrooms. He said, quote, the Trump movement, not necessarily even Trump himself, is a welcome and so needed rallying cry against the radicalization of the left and their ridiculous causes. Whether it's transgender bathrooms, climate change fanaticism, 80% tax rates on anyone who is successful, free college tuition for illegal immigrants, or whatever the latest liberal grievance is. I love how he's saying, liberal grievance. I have such a big grievance against the liberal grievances. Man. Wow. I mean, how dare we actually advocate that trans people be treated like human beings and protected from sexual assault? There are a lot of transgender people that get assaulted in the bathrooms. More so than non-trans people. I don't know if you know that. And how dare we actually try to cut pollution and save humanity from the ravages of climate change, which is, will impact rising sea levels or will create rising sea levels and impact economies. Even the Pentagon is saying, whoa, dude, we got a problem with climate change. Like, we got to do something about this. That's going to cost us money. Numerous studies have shown that it's going to cost the country billions of dollars in damages. So maybe we should do something about that. If you're actually fiscally conservative, you would actually want to look at the cost and benefits of doing something about climate change. More. What was it? 80% tax rates on anyone who's successful. That's ridiculous. Nobody's called for that. The highest was a 70% marginal tax rate on anyone making over $10 million a year. $10 million a year. Marginal. Which means until you get to that point, Like if you're $9,999,000, you are not affected by a 70% tax rate, and that's not even a law. That was a proposal floated by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which, by the way, I'm in complete support of it because I think it'd be awesome. But he's like, oh no, anybody that's successful. So I guess until you're what at your $9,999,000 dollar, you're not successful. I don't know. Ask Stephen Moore. Look, this guy's, I mean, he's insane. I think it's fairly obvious, right? These are some very disturbing opinions. And since, of course, he was called out on them, he decides he's going to be victimized. Which is hilarious because, look, these right-wing conservatives, ultra-right-wingers, always talk about how the liberals are the snowflakes. And how, oh my God, they're so thin-skinned, they're such snowflakes, they're always whining about things. Well, here he's going to go and whine about things. Quote, I was so honored when I got the call from Donald Trump, but all it's been since then has been one personal assault after the other, and a kind of character assassination having nothing to do with economics. They're pulling a Kavanaugh against me. Yes, I know. Actually quoting him, saying things that, he's actually written is such a personal attack. I love how thin-skinned the right wing actually is. How dare you quote me for things I've actually written? I'm such a victim. Save me from these liberal snowflakes. Wait. One more thing here. And this is hilarious. He said, quote, I'm taking a 60% pay cut to do this job. So, it's true public service. That's got to be the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. You know that working at the Federal Reserve, you get a spot on the Federal Reserve Board, you're set, man. Yeah, it might be a pay cut working there for, a couple of years. But do you know how many corporations can't wait to hire you for a spot after you've been in the Fed, setting monetary policy? Not only would you get amazing corporate board offers, but you would probably become an analyst on Fox News. It opens up a world of opportunities for someone to get paid massively. And I guess maybe that's part of the problem, but nonetheless. That's why he's willing to take a pay cut. It's not about public service. No, man, it's self-service. He's serving himself. And that's why he can't stand the attacks. It's like, oh, how dare you liberals attack me? Well, I'm here just to get a paycheck. Why do you have to quote me in context? I can't stand it. Not only is he not qualified, but as you can see from this article, he's kind of a bitch. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.